talked about it yesterday, just that chip on your shoulder. Everyone talking about a neutral AFC Championship game, not even thinking about you guys. How much did that motivate you coming into this?
You better send those refunds.
I'm from the city where they gotta play us. Fuck a coin flip, it's time to pay up. Don't cross the middle, 21 in the cut. We ain't hiding from nobody, run and tell them it's up. I'm from the city where they gotta play us. Fuck a coin flip, it's time to pay up. Don't cross the middle, 21 in the cut. We ain't hiding from nobody, run and tell them it's up. Back-to-back champs, kings of the north with it. Thinking they can hang with us, still ain't jumped out the porch with it. Long bomb to chase every Sunday, watch him go and get it. Double up on him, then we gon' double down on T. Higgins. Then throw Boyd in the mix, now you really iffy. Every Sunday showing boys how to really gritty. They try to shuffle up the game on us, but they ain't icky. Flip the coin, kick the toe Roger to go and get it. Never know what's gonna happen when Joe drop back. He get shiesty in the pocket, I get shiesty on the track. Nobody on the team all pro, that's all cap. Most all around team in the NFL, that's all fact. Ain't came across nobody yet that seem like they can hang with us. They said we couldn't be Buffalo, but see how we call they bluff. Underdogs every week, they keep on trying to label us. Put your money on us, even if Vegas don't favor us. No matter what, we really came up, now it's hard to fail. I dare you come across that middle, Von gon' ring your bell. I know we under they skin, them boys built frail. Eli Apple out there chirping like a next tail. You don't want Salmon Trey to come off them ends. Rita clogging up the middle like a big body Benz. Right behind them Logan and Pratt, the turnover twins. Jesse Bates in the backfield just to clean up the loose ends. We just drafted Cam and drafted Hill. Instant gratification every time that they on the field. We can't go back to what we was, cause that's the loser way. It's been hard to throw on us since we picked up a Woozier. It's like win after win, feel like we could really do it. Zach Taylor doing his thing for the city, I give it to him. And I bet Samaji will find a hole if you give it to him. Hayden Hurst don't need a hole, he just plan on running through him. Just hand it off to 28 and let him do the dash. Getting hit by BJ Hill probably feel like a car crash. Every week it seem like Lou digging deeper in his bag. And if the game on the line, all my favorite money match. I'm from the city where they gotta play us. Fuck a coin flip, it's time to pay up. Don't cross the middle, 21 in the cut. And we ain't hiding from nobody, run and tell them it's up. I'm from the city where they gotta play us. Fuck a coin flip, it's time to pay up. Don't cross the middle, 21 in the cut. And we ain't hiding from nobody, run and tell them it's up.
What do we say, Dolph?
That's right, they gotta play us. What's going on, y'all? This is Bengals Talk with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, the Iceman, Jeff Turnipole. And as always, I bring you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio, home of the back-to-back AFC North champion Cincinnati Bengals. Now, do me a favor. If you found the show, hit that like and subscribe button. Smash that thumbs up. You guys are awesome. I'm up to 2,202 subscribers. As always, I appreciate every single one of you guys. If you're watching on Facebook or Twitter and you have yet to subscribe to my channel, why not? Please do so. Please go to the YouTube channel, Bengals Talk with Strawberry Ice. Hit the subscription button and hit the bell for a notification because every time I go live, like today at 11:30 with Richard Skinner, you would know. Also, exclusively in the YouTube chat crew, we're doing super chats. So if you got a question you want to ask Skinny, anything about the draft, or just want to support the show, please give me a super chat. I would greatly appreciate it. And as always, I'm coming to you from this glorious place down here at the Ice Cave. The Ice Cave is brought to you by T Properties. T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out the website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. And you know what? Wear them almost every day. Jackpot Joey, we got the gear, we got the beer. It's all at jackpotjoey9.com. Well, the beer is not beers at Brink Brewery, but the gear and hat, flags, all that stuff, jackpotjoey9.com. Portion of the proceeds go to the Joe Burrow Hunger Relief Fund and the Joe Burrow Fund. What's up to everybody in the chat? Thanks for getting up early with me today. We got Stranger, he's first. Ronnie's in there. Nicholas is in there. Jeremy's in there. And Lindsay's in there. And let's see, Ronnie, you're asking about the song. The song is They Gotta Play Us by YB Assad. So you can find it on his YouTube channel. He has so graciously let me use it as my intro song. Anyway, let's get to the man. The reason you guys are here, he is Bengals beat writer. Also, he covers pretty much all Cincinnati sports. He's Local 12's Richard Skinner. Skinny, what's up, buddy?
Ike, how are you?
Good, man. Good. Just enjoying the day. It feels like it's finally starting to warm up a little bit. I see the sun coming out. I'm like I always say, no football. I want it to be warm. We haven't had football in a couple months now. I'm ready for it to warm up. I don't know about you.
Well, Monday we had a Bengals media availability, and I joked. I said, it feels like we're covering a Week 14 media availability with the way the weather was that day. Yeah, I'm glad it's warmer. I got to do a public address for a Reds high school event today outside at Xavier University. So I'm glad it's into the 60s. We're there again tomorrow when it's in the 70s. I would have not liked to have done that on Monday when it was in the 40s. I can promise you.
Right. No, you've been like this the
Yeah,
whole time.
no question. I think the
Trying to
players and
talk.
coaches would have been too. So
Exactly. All right, so the latest Bengals news. We got a backup quarterback, Trevor Siemian. Some people I said this on yesterday's show. I had more than too many arguments with people about the Bengals backup quarterback. Allen, I thought was a fine backup quarterback. I mean, it's a backup quarterback. If Joe Burrow goes down, I think the season's pretty much ruined anyway. I do think it's an upgrade. What's your thoughts on Trevor Siemian?
yeah, I'm fine with it. I maybe an upgrade. I mean, he's certainly had more success in the league than Brandon had. Although had is the key word. I mean, he had those 2 years in 16 and 17 in Denver where he was a starter. He hasn't played a whole lot since then. But I think to your point, I think that's the point that needs to be driven home is, listen, the backup quarterback, you're hoping if your quarterback gets hurt in a game that he can survive that game. And maybe if your quarterback, especially in the case of Joe Burrow, if he has to miss a game or two, and can you get a win out of that game or two? But yeah, if Joe Burrow goes down with anything catastrophic for a long period of time, you're not going to have anybody in place to do it. I mean, maybe if it's a franchise that drafted a guy and you really don't know what he's done yet or can do yet, and you luck into it. I mean, let's face it, New England lucked into Tom Brady in a large way, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Drew Bledsoe got hurt. Tom Brady was the backup by default. Tom Brady went in, and obviously, 2 decades later, he's the GOAT. They didn't know that. Unless they would have taken him in the first round instead of where they did, for goodness sakes. So that's the thing. When you're thinking backup quarterback, as long as a guy started games in the league, I don't want to say he's satisfied with it, but he understands his role. I think it's why, it's why Andy Dalton is going to continue to play in this league for a long time. He's going to understand wherever he goes. If he's the backup, great.
Mm-hmm.
And if he starts, he's had success in this league. Trevor's had some success. Actually, his biggest success was against the Bengals of all things back in 2016 with Denver. So, yeah, I don't get rattled. I know people point to, well, gosh, look what San Francisco did last year. Well, a couple things. They did have Jimmy Garoppolo technically as their backup when he had been a Super Bowl quarterback. So that's a pretty good backup to have. They didn't know what they had in Trey Lance, and obviously then he got hurt. And yeah, they lucked into Brock Purdy, for goodness sakes. He was a 7th-round pick that they lucked into, and they're built differently. I mean, this Bengals offense is built around Joe Burrow.
Oh, yeah.
San Francisco's offense is built around that running game and the defense, for goodness sakes. So, yeah, I'm fine with it. I think if you get over your skis about Trevor Siemian, I don't know what to tell you. You're not getting much better out in the open market as a backup.
And the thing is, and Lindsey brings it up here. He says, basically, do you think Browning will stay? I think it's going to be a quarterback competition for the backup quarterback, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's the other part to it, too. You're right. And, I think we've anointed Trevor Siemian as the guy just because he's done it in the league. But they love Jake Browning. They brought Jake Browning up last year for those 2 games where he was on the active roster, but then was inactive for the game. But that got him a couple of game checks. Mm-hmm. And that was more of a, hey, dude, we want you to stay around here. We like you. We're going to give you a little bit of a goose to stay with the club and not look elsewhere. And so I think it is a competition. They like Jake Browning a lot. I know receivers love Jake Browning. They pick his brain a lot when they come off the field of, what are you seeing? Jake Browning's going to be a coach in this league if he wants to one day. I mean that sincerely. He is a really bright guy with a really bright football mind. Doesn't have a great arm, but he's accurate. I think he's gonna make good decisions. We saw it in preseason last year. He can do some things with his feet. So yeah, I mean, there's no guarantee that Trevor Siemian is the quarterback because Jake Browning might beat him out when all's said and done.
Right, exactly. So and Browning had, I mean, I know there were people wanted him as the backup last year because of how good he played in the last 2 preseason games last year.
Yeah, no. I think a lot of it was Brandon just again had that experience. Jake didn't have NFL snaps. Well, Jake's been this will be the 5th year Jake's been in the league. He's never taken a snap in a regular season game. But this will be the 5th year he's been in this league. So he's been around a lot of things. And I think it is a competition in camp, but they were always going to bring in a veteran. I mean, Zach said that literally at the end of the draft press conference. It was funny that he did name Brandon Allen by name, and suddenly Brandon Allen signs with San Francisco within a matter of hours. Okay, we got to move on to somebody quickly. And so they did. And they had some interest in Trevor and vice versa. Trevor visited before the draft. He has a relationship with Brian Callahan from their days in Denver. So I think it's a good fit. Again, we're talking about backup. If we're talking about a backup quarterback starting for 13 games, I'm sorry. I think the season would have probably gone sideways.
We're in trouble no matter who the backup is. Now, I heard something yesterday, and I'm going to try to confirm it with you. Did Jonah Williams come out and say that he's okay with playing right tackle or anything to that sort? I thought I read something about that, or
I didn't see that. We've not talked to Jonah.
Okay.
Jonah has not been in the building on the days that we only have one day of media availability a week, and it's Mondays. So Jonah, and I understand it. I mean, it's voluntary workouts.
Right.
A lot of guys going through contract stuff do not show up for that. He may have said it to another outlet locally or on a podcast or something. I did not see that.
Okay.
I've said that to people who've asked the question about, well, Jonah's not going to sit out. He's got 12.6 million guaranteed reasons to not sit out. He also has if he sits out, he's going to kill his value on the open market. I mean, there's all these things line up to Jonah, and Jonah's a pro. Listen, I mean, Jonah, to his credit, I mean, played last year, putting a dislocated kneecap back in place in a game and toughing it out. Listen, he struggled at times. You've got an upgraded left tackle, all those things. I understand both sides of this. I understand Jonah's camp wanting the trade because they wanted to be paid as a left tackle eventually. I think when cooler heads prevail, Jonah's a pro. Jonah's going to play right tackle. And the only reason he wouldn't is if the Bengals get some kind of fair value on the open market to trade him, if somebody suffers a catastrophic injury in camp. And at that point, they feel comfortable Al Collins is going to be healthy enough to come back and start in the opener. Again, he's a pro.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think his agent did him any favors by saying he wants to be traded. So basically, you took any leverage the Bengals had of trying to trade him away from him, which, I mean, and I just never understood that whole thing. It's like he's got a $12 million guaranteed contract this year. You're not going to walk away from that. I've had people go, well, what if he sits out? I'm like, why in the hell would he sit out? Like, he's not going to.
Yeah, he's not sitting out. I mean, again, 12.6 mil guaranteed is a pretty good piece of change. I mean, there's no question about that. So, yeah, he's not sitting out. Again, if he wants to test the open market after this year, which he likely will, I don't see the Bengals bringing him back, then listen, you need to play at a high level, right? And, to get your payday. So I think all the factors are, again, I get the reason for the asking of the trade. Everybody does understand that part of it. His teammates, we talked to them, they understand all of that, but he ain't sitting out.
No, he ain't sitting out. All right, so let's do a little recap on the draft. We don't have to go through every draft pick because I did that yesterday. But just your thoughts on the draft. From who is the surprising pick? Who's the one you think they stole? Were you surprised they didn't get a tight end? Just your thoughts in general.
Yeah, I'll start with the tight end part. I wasn't surprised. I will say I was and I wasn't. I didn't think it was going to be a first rounder. They don't classify that as a premium position.
Right.
For them, premium positions are quarterback. You got one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Wide receiver, you got some of those. Cornerback, and that's why they went in the second round with DJ Turner and edge rusher, defensive line edge rusher, and they went with that in the first round. So they identified what their premium positions were. I was a little bit surprised when you got to the fifth, sixth round that maybe they were going to go the tight end route. Zach Kuntz from Old Dominion felt like he would have been a good fit.
That's what I thought they were going to draft because he was still hanging out there, and they still didn't.
And so, listen, but I understand it. Again, if it's not a premium position and you've got at least two guys in the pipeline you believe in, you can always re-sign Mitchell Wilcox as a third tight end. And so you've got your tight end room set. It's not set long term, and so maybe you attack it next year. Maybe you attack it again next year with a one and done guy. And it worked with Hayden Hurst. You're certainly hoping it's going to work with Irv Smith, some talented guys who again, they were high draft picks and high round draft picks that you're kind of getting on a steal. Mm-hmm. And it worked out for Hayden. It worked out. CJ Uzomah was on the last year's contract. Worked out for him to get paid. And so maybe that's the route they decide to go in the future and go to the pipeline. But they just don't think of it as a premium position. But I will say, I thought overall it was a great draft from a depth perspective for the now and for the future, starting as early as next year of maybe at least two, if not three of those guys sliding into starting spots. Mm-hmm. Miles Murphy. I mean, you can get out from under Trey Hendrickson after this year with a 15.6 or 9 or some kind of $15+ million cap savings, and you're going to need some of that cap savings. You got DJ Turner is a great depth piece for now. How'd that work out for Cam Taylor-Britt last year? How important was that guy from a depth perspective last year? And then Chidobe Awuzie is a free agent after this year. He can slide into that spot. Jordan Battle, I think, is going to very much be in the mix at safety. And I know that was the one that scratched everybody was scratching their heads.
I was shocked by that one. I was, but I
thought I thought A, it was a steal, and B, if you look at it, again, we have high hopes for Dax Hill, right? Everybody has high hopes for him, and I understand it. Nick Scott was signed for a reason, but keep in mind, Dax Hill has never started a game in this league at safety. Nick Scott has been a full-time starter for a year at safety. The backups are Tyson Anderson, who's never played a game in the NFL because he was hurt all last year or on injured reserve all last year. And Michael Thomas is best served as a special teams player. His best days as a safety are well behind him. So you needed some juice in that position group as well. And then for Charlie Jones, the 4th round pick, again, more dynamic.
Chuck Sizzle.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And then you've been looking for this punt returner. Listen, Trent Taylor's done a really nice job. He's been a sure-handed guy. He gets north and south. he's just never going to pop one. And so they've been looking for a more dynamic option there. And Charlie Jones gives you that in the short term, a more dynamic fourth receiver if something were to happen to one of the big three. And then Tyler Boyd comes off the books after this year. Charlie Jones seems perfectly suited to be a slot receiver for a long time in this league. Voila, there's your slot receiver. So I thought, to their credit, they really did attack the now depth-wise. But I think they also had that eye on the future of, listen, they've had all these core guys on offense, so not all of them, but the core premium position guys, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, under rookie contracts. What were they able to do? Go spend on defense. Well, now you're going to have to spend for Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. So then what side of the ball now is going to be on rookie contracts moving forward? A chunk of the guys on defense. And it's just, you can't pay them all. And so I think their plan of attack has been a really good one in that regard.
Yeah, exactly. And you said it perfectly. That's kind of how I've said this, Trev. It helps the depth now and moving on, because I've said this, and I think you said this on my show before too, is the Bengals can't keep everybody on defense. Right. They got multiple guys come on a contract. So now we've got the replacements. Now, the other thing about the tight end room, someone put in the comment here, which could happen, is we could get maybe CJ Uzomah gets cut.
Right. No, right.
The Jets got 85 tight ends.
No, that's exactly. That's the other part too is I know Cameron Brate's name has been mentioned. I'm not a big Cameron Brate guy at this point of his career, but there's somebody like that floating around, and maybe more guys like that will start floating around by camp. CJ Uzomah is a perfect example of that. And so, yeah, I think you could add another veteran to that room that's had some success in this league at probably a fairly, cheap price. And again, they can't break the bank, nor are they going to break the bank on that spot. But yeah, certainly you could add to that mix with one of those guys.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, if they do sign Wilcox, Skinny, you basically got the same tight end room you had last year. You swap out Hayden Hurst for Irv Smith. I mean, that's basically the same thing.
It's literally the same thing. And so, again, did that hurt the offense last year having that tight end room? No, of course not. Again, it's not a premium position for them. If you can't find 50 catches for 400 yards, and I'm not dissing Hayden Hurst because he made some important plays for this team, especially with his toughness and his grit and breaking tackles and all that. But again, if you can't replace 50 catches for 400 yards, something's wrong with you. It's just not a premium position.
Yeah, exactly. And with the wide receivers they drafted, mainly Chuck Sizzle, Charlie Jones here. I think we got four wide receiver sets this year with having him on the team.
Yeah, that's the other part too. We were kind of kicking some stuff around that if you want to go 4 wide with Charlie Jones, and if you're worried about who's going to be blocking maybe as a running back in the passing game, put Drew Sample back there as your personal protector and blocker, and then he check down guy. I can live with that. That'd be fun to watch.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting thing to do. Now, we got the rookies. Are they coming into camp? Is that this week or next week?
Next week, next Friday, the 12th.
Okay. So and when do they start announcing the undrafted players? That should be here in a couple days?
Day. No, the same day. Those guys will come in on that Friday. They sign their contract that day, and then that class will be announced probably before they hit the practice field that day. So all that stuff will happen next Friday.
Okay, cool. Well, I appreciate you trying your best to come on to our draft show. We were on for 20 hours the whole time. I know you guys were freaking busy, so I mean, you guys both tried, and I know you couldn't get on, so I do appreciate you trying.
Yeah, dude, I'll tell you what, those 3 days, it feels like a whirlwind. It feels like it's Thursday, and when you wake up, it's Sunday, and somebody hit you like a Mack truck. So, yeah, those 3 days go crazy.
Exactly. So where would you grade the Bengals draft? I mean, at the end of the draft, I was like an A minus. A couple days later, now I'm more like, I think it's a B because they didn't address the tight end as much, so I don't know, where would you grade that?
I went B plus, and I actually kind of kicked myself because the more I thought about it, the more I think A minus. I love the late 6th round pick wide receiver. I thought that was kind of a steal for a project. The one that kind of dings me a little, I'm just not a big draft a punter guy. And I hope Brad Robbins works out. I'm rooting for Drew Chrisman too. Talked to Drew on Monday. He's looking forward to the competition, but I'm kind of in that, there's so many punters floating around, and maybe I dinged them a little too much for that pick that took it from A minus to B plus. But yeah, I'm in that A minus B plus range.
Well, I don't know about you, but when they made the trade on our draft show, we all said, all right, they got an extra pick. We all thought they were going to draft the punter. And listening to Robinson and how he has got the punting down to a science and the mathematics of it or whatever, it sounds just what I can't think our special teams coach, Darren Simmons wants. It sounds like a guy because he doesn't, He wants you to be able to angle the ball. He wants you to get it high up in the air. Because look, let's be honest. I like Drew Chrisman, but if he doesn't kick the ball right down the middle of the field of the NFC Championship game, we got a better shot of probably winning that game. And give them home field advantage or giving them the win.
Yeah, I think that was the issue. I mean, for Darren, he mentioned it. He said it wasn't the final straw, but I truly think it was. I mean, it was a 54-yard punt. Great that he hit the 54-yarder, but right down the middle of the field, not much hang time, and that's what Brad Robbins is. He's a hang time guy. But talking to Drew, I think Drew said, that he thought the competition with Kevin Huber made him a better punter. He thinks this will make him a better punter. So I'm sure he's working extremely hard on directional punting, on hang time. And again, it wouldn't shock me. Remember the one year they drafted Jake Elliott, and he ends up losing the battle with Randy Bullock. So just because they drafted him doesn't mean he automatically makes it.
Right.
So we'll see
Right.
the competition about.
And just let everybody know, Skinny's had a little audio problem. It's the internet. Sometimes it happens. So people are like, it's cracky. Like, yeah, there's it just happens. Hopefully it'll get better. What we could do, Skinny, if you want to you could try to jump off and jump back on again and see if that gets you a better link there.
Why is this? Something's on the fucking internet. That's part of the fucking issue. Gosh darn it.
Yep, he'll be back here in a minute. It sounded good at first, and then it got all crackly and stuff. So, anyway, Skynet has, yeah, it does. Sounds like, what do you get? Sounds like someone chewing hard candy. Yeah, I mean, it sounded good at first, and then it just starts crackling and stuff. And unfortunately, there's nothing I can do on my end about it. I just have to wait for them to jump off and jump back on. But, I mean, just let's get back to talking about the draft. And I do think, like I said, the only reason I'm going back down to a B is just because they didn't address a tight end. I would have liked to have gotten Kuntz. But the guys they got, I think, are very I said this on with Trags yesterday. They're going to help out now with the depth, and they're going to help out with the future. So, I can't wait. I want to, hopefully Skinny comes back on here, and I want to ask him about the NASCAR package. See, I'm excited about that. When you can get all four of those guys on the field at the same time, that's going to be awesome because, I mean, you can, like Lou said, you can rush with four. And if you guys remember, in the AFC Championship game 2 years ago when we beat Kansas City, we did it by rushing four guys. Now, it wasn't like we sacked Patrick Mahomes a lot, but we kept him in the pocket, and he made a lot of bad decisions. So that's the thing that I can't wait to see. Hey, Skinny, what's up? That's better.
All right, hopefully it's better.
Yeah. So one thing I was talking to, and one thing I am excited to see is the potential of the NASCAR package that we could have here with the H boys and Osai and now Meyer here. I think that's going to be awesome. I mean, and Lou said they'd give a chance to rush four guys. And I was saying in the AFC Championship game 2 years ago when we beat Kansas City, they did that a lot against Patrick Mahomes. They rushed four guys, and they didn't sack him, but they kept him in the pocket. Now he could actually probably sack him and get pressure on him.
Yeah, I mean, you got a package where you can put Osai on the outside, Hendrickson on the outside, then Hubbard and Miles Murphy inside. And Hubbard does a lot of things. I mean, he's dropped in coverage in that. You can do some zone blitz stuff with Sam dropping back. Hendrickson drops back. Osai can drop back. You can send those four. You got four real speed rushers potentially. So he's got a lot of tools in the shed to play with. And as we know, he's pretty good when he's got a lot of toys to play with.
Exactly. No other thing I'll roll back to is Battle. I think there's a chance that he potentially could be the starting safety by the end of the year. Not starting out, but do you think that's a potential? And either way it goes, there's a lot of stuff you can do in that secondary with the three safety set and different things like that.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it with Cam Taylor-Britt. Now, some of that was by default last year, but really Cam's first start was Eli was hurt, but I think it was trending in the direction of Cam eventually sliding into Eli's spot.
Right.
And then obviously Chidobe got hurt, and so Cam and Eli started together. Yeah, I can see Jordan Battle doing that. That was a pretty good pick. That was a steal in my opinion. And it does, again, it gives you that potential to play the three safety look. Cam can cover, or rather Dax can cover guys in the slot. Jordan Battle, it sounds like, can cover some guys in the slot potentially as well. And again, it's a great depth piece. You've gotten lucky that Jesse Bates and Von Bell have been able to play, or were able to play, literally almost every snap the last couple of years at safety. It did maybe slow down Dax Hill's growth a little bit because he got hardly any action there. He got more action slot corner than he did safety. But this gives you the potential that if somebody gets hurt, that you've got another able body in the pipeline. It was just, that's why it was smart. I know, again, everybody's wringing their hands about the lack of tight end at that point, but this was probably a way, way, way better pick, especially for safety that they had as high on the board as they had.
Yeah, I think it was almost too good to pass up, to be honest.
Yes.
I mean that's where it is. He's the best player on your board, and the Bengals were not going to reach for anything. And the thing is, you can bring him in, and you can put Dax back in the slot corner spot too. So it gives Lou a lot more versatility, which Lou likes. And to be honest, like I said, replacing Jesse Bates and Von Bell is not going to be easy. I mean, it's not going to be an easy thing to do. But I think they've got enough bodies, enough guys who are athletic enough, and scheme wise of Lou that will be able to do it. And just the speed alone we have on this team, Skinny. How much of a difference is that going to be this year? How much faster we're going to be?
Yeah, it's probably incremental. I know it is. It probably is the fastest team, certainly of this era, maybe of all time. But it's incremental because other. I mean, these athletes are just getting bigger and better and faster. We're watching a tackle in Kalijah Cansey running a 4.67 40 for goodness sake. So I mean, these guys are just freaks all across the board. But I think the place that really shows up is special teams. I mean, that's the part for me of in those hidden yards, and it's not as much a field position league as it used to be, because teams go for it on fourth down way more than they used to, but it's still a part of the game, and it can still save you, some points, or maybe get you some points if you got a guy that can break a kick here and there. So I think that's where it really shows up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one thing that we addressed on this draft is special teams, because we did talk about the special teams weren't up to snuff last year, and we got more speed on there. We got a better punter. So, and these are all things, again, that upgraded this team and the talent wise to win a Super Bowl this year. And it's just the little nuances that we didn't have last year that I think that they were really trying to upgrade this year.
Yeah, I mean, if you look, you can argue that depth probably showed up on the offensive line, and maybe this year, if it's a playoff game and one of your starting guards gets hurt, maybe it's Cody Ford who slides in there and blocks. Max Sharping, I think, did a nice job, but Max Sharping couldn't block Chris Ford. I mean, that's what you have Alex Kappa for. Alex Kappa was brought in to block the Chris Fords of this world. Yep. And it just didn't work out. So that's the part too. And maybe it comes down to the other side of the ball, like we mentioned, from a pass rush perspective, that he wasn't gonna be able to block Chris Ford, but could you have gotten a little more pressure on Patrick Mahomes with maybe a better pass rush and made it more difficult on him in a game like that? So yeah, it's always those little things that show up. I mean, you're a field goal away from a Super Bowl when you're a field goal away from going to another Super Bowl. I mean, there's not a whole lot you need to do a whole lot better. And I think these last two seasons, they've upgraded the roster enough to where you go, okay, now you really do have all the pieces to get this done.
Now I got a question for you. I brought this up yesterday's show to Trags. Now I heard this on Lance McCallow's show last night, or two nights ago. Anyway, the guy, a caller called in and said, "I'm disappointed with this draft. We didn't draft an offensive lineman. We should have done that." And Lance is like, "Okay, who?" And the guy goes, "I don't know. Anybody." I hate that argument. I'm like, okay, who? So what's your comment on that? That was
I think I've said this before. I'm of the ilk of, especially in early rounds, of not using that on those positions. The college offensive linemen, whether it's inside, whatever, across the board, tackle to center to guard, they're just so hard to evaluate anymore because of the way college offenses are. Doesn't mean you avoid drafting them. Cordell Volson was the perfect sweet spot for me, a fourth round pick that, hey, you're hoping it works out, and you're hoping it works out immediately. But if it doesn't, okay, it was just a fourth round pick. You can't waste first and second and third. You can't waste day 1 and 2 picks in this league. So I think they've learned that lesson. And I know people talk about that whole offensive line piece. Is a rookie mid-round pick going to really be better? And again, Cordell Volson did start, so I'm kind of contradicting myself a little bit, but at least on pace, is he really going to be better than Max Sharping as a backup at guard? And right now at right tackle, you got 5 dudes they're talking about. And again, it's going to sort itself out because you're not going to have both Jonah Williams and Lyle Collins on this roster because of financial ramifications. But I know people look at the Jackson Carman experiment at guard and that they've already discarded him as a player. And I would advise against that because they're talking very highly of him, A. B, his performance in the 2 playoff games really, I think, opened some doors and opened some lights. And I think it's reinvigorated Jackson. He looks way better physically. I think he talked very openly to us the other day about looking forward to being back at tackle and what that means. I think there's a lot of things there that we've kind of dismissed because he was a failure at guard. Okay, well, you put him out of position. You thought it was going to work. It didn't work. So that's okay. So, in a pinch, could Jackson go back and play guard if you got 3 guys hurt in a game and you had to sure, whatever. but I think they were set depth-wise at that position. And again, you could also go to camp. Don't forget, Max Sharping was picked up after final cuts last year as a waiver wire pickup. Mm-hmm. So if you want to add to the depth, if Max has a bad camp or Cody Ford has a bad camp, and you're like, okay, we're still one depth piece short at that spot, go back to the waiver wire and get a guy that's at least done it in this league before.
Exactly. And I always got to bust Trags' balls here, but he cracked me up when he wrote a piece and said that Jackson Carter looks svelte. Have you guys given him crap about that?
I'm the one that gave him crap for that first, because we were in the locker room standing there and he goes, Jackson looks svelte. And I go, dude, what are you talking about? I said, he looks better. I said, he looks more toned.
Right.
I said, he's never going to look svelte. 6'7", 325-pound man is never going to look svelte. But it is funny. His body does look way reshaped. And when talking to him the other day, the point-blank question was asked, how much weight have you lost? And he said, not much. He goes, a little bit. It sounded like maybe 5 pounds. Mm-hmm. But he did say, I've retoned and reshaped my body. He's doing gymnastics. He's doing yoga.
Right.
And I think that's the part. He's taken that weight that was on his body that probably wasn't toned and toned it up. And so while he looks more svelte, it's really just more tone, and credit to him. And I think that's where the light bulb probably went off for him. And I think that was a much needed confidence boost for what he did in the playoffs of okay, I'm back in my position now. I can do this. I proved to myself I can do this, but I got to get better at some things. And I think he's grown up very quickly, and some of it, the confidence boost helped him a lot.
Now, is there a scenario you could see where he comes in and Jackson Carman does so well that he's their starting right tackle?
Great question.
For the Bengals this year?
That's a great question. Is it possible? Absolutely. He's going to get a lot of opportunities here if Jonah doesn't show up until mandatory minicamp, and he may decide not to show up for that and take the fine that comes along with it.
Right.
It's hard to do much in OTAs and really tell in OTAs because they're doing stuff on air and there's no real contact. Right. But he's going to get a chance to at least rep with the first team while that takes place. And I always think that's at least an important first step to getting to work cohesively with some of these guys. So it's not impossible. It's not out of the realm. I don't know at that point, what you do with Jonah Williams. Do you really want a $12.6 million guaranteed backup? So I would say probably that the scenario is Jackson's the swing tackle.
Right.
But that's
what if you ever trade Jonah for a tight end?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, but you could trade Jonah for something. Yeah.
Yeah.
If Jackson shows enough in camp that he wins this job and you can find a trade partner, then I do think you get out from under it. And then that way, Lyle probably starts on the PUP list and you say, okay, by week 7, after Lyle's sat out the first 6 weeks, we can get Lyle back and he can become, it's a more high price backup, or maybe at that point he slides back into a starting role. So that right tackle spot is really, really fluid at the moment.
Yeah, that's what I've told people. I'm like, I'm not as worried about the right tackle as I would be the left tackle. We got a solid left tackle. So Orlando, I'm rocking his jersey. Orlando Zeus Brown Jr. is our left tackle. We got 5 guys. One of those damn guys to be able to play right tackle. And right tackle, honestly, hasn't been the problem with our offensive line, to be honest. We've had multiple different guys there.
Yeah, Joe Burrow sees that. I mean, that's where his eyes are. His eyes aren't behind him. That's what the left tackle is so important for, is that blind side, knowing the trust and having the trust that guy literally has my back. I can see what's in front of me. Joe Burrow can see what's coming at him from that other side. Right. And so that part isn't as valuable, especially in pass blocking. And so, listen, if Jonah Williams plays at a level I think he's capable of, that will be their best right tackle in a long time, to be quite frank.
Oh, if Jonah Williams plays to the level I think he can, this could be the best offensive line we had probably since '88 offensive line. I think. I mean, maybe this one with the Willie Anderson, but I mean, it's gonna be up there, the top 2 or 3 offensive line.
No, it's got that potential, no question.
Exactly. All right, Skinny, I know you're holding your phone and you've been on for 33 minutes. I appreciate you with all the internet issues and stuff like that. But tell everybody where they can find you, all the articles and whatever else you want to plug before I let you go.
Yep. Head to local12.com. We got stuff up there every day on all kinds of different sports. Mostly, though, I do a lot of Bengals stuff on the website, but do some other sports as well. We cover the whole sports scene in the tri-state. So you can go there and you can follow along on Twitter as well at Local12Skinny.
And every Sunday night on the Sports Authority.
That's correct.
I always enjoy watching you guys on there. So, Skinny, appreciate you. Make sure you stay warm today as you're out there at the high school baseball game, right?
Nicest day we've had in 3 weeks, so I'm looking forward to it.
Exactly. All right, buddy. Talk to you later.
All right, take care.
Yep, bye-bye. All right, guys. I appreciate that. I hope you do as much as I do. Skinner, 2 guys that come on my show all the time that are legit sports reporters. Mike Petraglia, Richard Skinner. Both awesome. They both come on almost any time that I've asked them. And I try to get them on during the draft. They said they would try. They tried. They couldn't get on, which I would have been shocked if they actually made it onto the show. That would have been great, but it didn't happen. But anyway, make sure you go follow both those guys. Skinny's awesome. I was going to ask you about getting the two Aggie guys on. I gotta get that back on track and try to get him and Tom Gamble on the show sometime together. That is one thing I'd like to do on my bucket list, to have those two going, because I think that would be an epic show. All right, let's get to the Facebook groups that let me live stream. And as always, I appreciate every single one of them. They are Houday Nation, Houday Legion, Bearcat Ruckus, Radical Reds, the Ohio State Bucknuts, the Ice Bar, and then you can follow me on all my social media platforms, all under Strawberry Ice, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Twitter handle is at Jeff A. Trenopole. TikTok is at Iceman90. I should be pulling this out off on the podcast. It's on BeanPod, Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher Play, pretty much wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you rate, like, and review. Leave a 5-star review so more Cincinnati fans can find my podcast. YouTubers, we're at 2,202 subscribers. As always, I appreciate every single one of you guys. So this is the show for today. I will not be doing one at 5:30. I am going to be on Ace and Zim's show tonight at 7:30. So we'll be discussing the draft. I don't know if it's just me or if it's a whole bunch of other people. Either way, we will be discussing it at 7:30 tonight on the Cincinnati podcast. Go back. If you guys missed any of the shows this week, which I had from Trags, I just had Skinner, Richard on, had Bengals legend Reggie Williams on. Go back and make sure you watch them, because I had a good bunch of shows for you this week. Tomorrow, I will not be doing a show. Tomorrow is my parents' today is my parents' 50th wedding anniversary. We're celebrating it tomorrow. Anyway, we're going to celebrate my parents' 50th wedding anniversary. So I will not be doing a show tomorrow. Right now, I'm going to go back upstairs and start working on my kitchen again. So anyway, I appreciate all you guys watching. I hope you did too. And I will see you guys on Monday. Actually, I'll see you tonight at 7:30 on the Cincinnati podcast. But we'll see you back here on Monday. Bengals Brews, they're going to do a show at 3:30 today. I don't know if I'm going to be on or not, but I know they will have one at 3:30. Go check them out, because they had Dan Horde on this past week. They had Jay Morrison on. Also, shout out to Rally Around the Natty. They got James Rapine come up on their show tonight, I think it is. You have to go look at their Twitter page, but got James Rapine, so I try to always shout out my boys and all the hard work that they're doing to try to get Bengals coverage for you as much as I do. Anyway, ready? Other than that, that's just sports, baby. See ya!
Talked about it yesterday, just that chip on your shoulder. Everyone talking about a neutral AFC championship game, not even thinking about you guys. How much did that motivate you coming into this?
You better send those refunds.
I'm from the city where they gotta play us. Fuck a coin flip, it's time to pay up. Don't cross the middle, 21 in the cut. We ain't hiding from nobody, run and tell them it's up. I'm from the city where they gotta play us. Fuck a coin flip, it's time to pay up. Don't cross the middle, 21 in the cut. We ain't hiding from nobody, run and tell them it's up. Back-to-back champs, kings of the north with it. Thinking they can hang with us, still ain't jumped out the porch with it. Long bomb to chase every Sunday, watch him go and get it. Double up on him, then we gon' double down on T. Higgins. Then throw Boyd in the mix, now you really iffy. Every Sunday showing boys how to really gritty. They try to shuffle up the game on us, but they ain't icky. Flip the coin, kick the toe right to the go and get it. Never know what's gonna happen when Joe drop back. He get shiesty in the pocket, I get shiesty on the track. Nobody on the team all pro, that's all cap. Most all around team in the NFL, that's all fact. Ain't came across nobody yet that seem like they can hang with us. They said we couldn't be Buffalo, but see how we call they bluff. Underdogs every week, they keep on trying to label us. Put your money on us, even if Vegas don't favor us. No matter what, we really came up, now it's hard to fail. I dare you come across that middle, Von gon' ring your bell. I know we under they skin, them boys built frail. Eli Apple out there chirping like a next tail. You don't want Salmon Trey to come off them ends. Rita clogging up the middle like a big body Benz. Right behind them Logan and Pratt, the turnover twins. Jesse Bates in the backfield just to clean up the loose ends. We just drafted Cam and drafted Hill. Instant gratification every time that they on the field. We can't go back to what we was, cause that's the loser way. It's been hard to throw on us since we picked up a Woozy. It's like win after win, feel like we could really do it. Zach Taylor doing his thing for the city, I give it to him. And I bet Samaji will find a hole if you give it to him. Hayden Hurst don't need a hole, he just plan on running through him. Just hand it off to 28 and let him do the dash. Getting hit by BJ Hill probably feel like a car crash. Every week it seem like Lou digging deeper in his bag. And if the game on the line, all my favorite money match. I'm from the city where they gotta play us. Fuck a coin flip, it's time to pay up. Don't cross the middle, 21 in the cut. And we ain't hiding from nobody, run and tell them it's up. I'm from the city where they gotta play us. Fuck a coin flip, it's time to pay up. Don't cross the middle, 21 in the cut. And we ain't hiding from nobody, run and tell them it's up.